Welcome everyone to episode 30 of the Business of Sport. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are at episode 30. What a ride it's been so far. As always, my co-host, Mr. Rob Yale, joins me on the show. Rob, welcome to the show, buddy. Big number 30. What a ride it's been.
How about that? That's a nice landmark. We've had a lot of fun, covered a lot of topics, and I don't see the business of sport slowing down any. So we got at least another 30 plus ahead of us, my friend.
It's picking up. It's picking up as always. And what a week it's been. Big news. Big news that's come through over the last 24 hours. The 49ers owners to take full control of Leeds United. Sale approved, sealed, done deal by the English Football League. It's finally happening. It's finally happening.
Yeah, that's been a obviously the 49ers, had a minority stake in Leeds, and with the their relegation to the EFL championship, that triggered a sale from the primary ownership group, and they moved in and have taken full control of the club. And you'll see my good friend Parag Marthe inserted as the chairman for Leeds, and Parag is one of the chief principals of the 49ers, and he's been obviously very involved in the Leeds transaction. And so it's another American ownership into British football, and it will be hopefully a positive move for Leeds as they look to promote back up next season. But should be some interesting synergies across the board. Obviously, lots. We've got the NFL playing in the UK 3 times this year. The 49ers will probably use that relationship and NFL muscle to help promote and market the club. But also, I think you'll see some additional strategies very, very similar to what you see in American football being applied to the commercial side with Leeds, and I think that'll be important. You'll probably see a few more cross-promoted partners. Levi's is the stadium partner over there, and in Santa Clara with the stadium. Maybe you start seeing a lot of Leeds United lads running around in some Levi's dungarees and stuff. So just conceptually, I think it's economies of scale. We've seen that with other American ownerships with when the Glazers owned. They still own Manchester United. Obviously, you got Todd Bowley, owns the Dodgers and now owns Chelsea. You see some, you've got Shad Khan, who owns the Jaguars, who owns Fulham. So you've got some synergies already. Fenway Sports Group owns Liverpool, which owns obviously Boston Red Sox. So you see some synergies in there. Leeds now gets to take advantage of that, and hopefully the squad can get back up to the Premier League, because obviously we know that's a significant bump in the valuation.
For sure. So let's break this down a bit. Last month, Andre Radrizzani, who was the initial owner who fought with Leeds all the way from relegation all the way to promotion, and then brought in the 49ers and so on and so on. He agreed to sell his majority share at $209 million. Previous to that, the 49ers owned 44%, and they said that 44%, had they stayed in the Premier League, could have been worth $600 million. Wow. So that, based off those numbers, the team was worth pretty much over $1 billion.
Well, look, we've seen, those top tier EPL clubs, go for, several billion. We're saw Chelsea go for a little over almost about five.
Yeah.
Manchester United is rumored to be running around the $6 billion range. And Newcastle had a nice bump with their new ownership jumping in. I mean, so hey, it's values are going up. Viewership's going up. The English soccer in general, Premier League is the creme de la creme. Globally in the marketplace. So look, for Leeds, it's I should say for the 49ers, a timely relegation to acquire, control and ownership as they go down, implement some of their strategies, their personnel, their structure, get that ship righted and promote back up within a year's time is the plan. And then you got a nice little boost on your investment as the majority owner of the club. So, power lies within the man with cash, at the end of the day. So they, actually, took advantage of the opportunity. And again, obviously that opportunity, doesn't bump immediately if they don't, promote up next year. Obviously that's the goal and the plan, but, nothing's guaranteed, but that's certainly something that, you can watch closely, but for me, we'll watch how they, what are some of the commercial deals that get done? Is there any, staff, restructure with, commercial director and down? I think philosophies are going to be put in place. Obviously, there is the relationship with Elevate, which is an entity, sub-entity of the 49ers group. So you'll see them get involved, just to expand, the sales footprint, with that group, start taking a look at the, renovations to Ellen Road, and does Ellen Road perhaps have a name on it by this time next year? We'll see.
Yeah, I mean that's an iconic stadium that's been around English football for many, many years. I remember growing up watching Harry Kuehl and Mark Viduka playing there, and being an Aussie, that was I used to go for Leeds. So until Harry Kuehl moved to Liverpool, and then he took me with him. So interesting. So if they were to come back to the Premier League, it would be an amazing return on investment. I mean, what a bump!
Absolutely.
What a bump that would be. All right, let's see the way all this plays out. It's going to be an interesting cross promotion between football and European football, soccer and football in America. You got a premier NFL team, and you got a soccer team in Europe that's just been relegated. And could Leeds United become America's most loved club, overtaking Wrexham FC? Maybe. We'll see. We'll find out.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, obviously we had, three high-profile Americans, member of our men's national team on the squad. We've seen one get transferred. There's still discussions on where Aronson and Adams end up, but we'll see. But obviously, look, having some high-profile Americans, having American ownership, we'll probably see some other young American talent maybe end up there. It'll be quite interesting, but certainly fun to watch, and wishing the best to our friends at the 49ers as they embark as the majority owners of the club.
Absolutely. All right, we're staying on football/soccer. FIFA threatened the blackout of the Women's World Cup in Europe. Wow. So here's a bit of backstory. This is the first time FIFA has separated the female football rights from the male football rights. And their goal was to obtain global broadcast fees of about $300 million. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get there. They got closer to the $200 million. And part of the reason is the European market let them down a bit because of the time difference between Australia, New Zealand, and Europe. So it's going to be very hard for them to engage audiences during that time. But in the US, I mean, Fox is doing very, very well. They had strong ad sales. They sold out 90% of their inventory by June, and they've done 50% more than the 2019 tournament because it works really well for a morning slot in the US, which is an evening slot in New Zealand. Yeah. So it works a lot better than what it did with Europe, and yeah, but I'm quite surprised at the fee targets because I would have thought it was a bit more. There's been a lot of talk and hype around women's football. Should we have seen the 300 million reached?
Well,
based on commercials here, not feelings. We're talking about business.
No. Again, I always say, the market always speaks, right? Yeah. You can. It's one of the reasons when we're involved in selling any property, we like to get third-party analytics involved and take any emotion or personal feelings out of it, and really get that objective look at it. I would say in this case, you alluded to probably the primary reason is it's going to be middle of the night, broadcast times in Europe, for those teams, the Lionesses and the French club and et cetera, that they're playing, an early evening, game, a match over in New Zealand or Australia, then it's, 2 a.m. in the morning, something like that, in England. It's look, watch parties will still happen, but it's still not the audience that you'd want. You're not getting a lot of high profile, engaged audiences at that hour. And so, ultimately, that does hurt. I mean, that's certainly something that FIFA needs to understand when factoring in, the World Cup rights. Obviously they separated them out this year, and maybe this was probably the one year you kind of still keep them bundled with, given that you've got France and you've got, USA and, and New Zealand, women's World Cup coming. So at the end of the day, look, brands, and advertisers and rights holders, are businesses. They got to make sound, business decisions. I mean, so there's not a real reason to overpay for rights when you're not going to be able to get the return from the advertiser. I mean, I'm sure that they would have paid $300 million if they could have justified the number. And it doesn't have anything to do with the popularity of the women's game. Obviously, it sells out here in the U.S. because we've got a team going for their third consecutive World Cup title. So everybody loves the winner, right? And we're kind of in that, we're in a soccer crazed mode right now, leading up to 2024 Copa America and certainly the World Cup in 26, Olympics in 24. We've got all kinds of buzz around the game, so naturally, and to what you mentioned is accurate. We got morning games. People are going to watch. Their routine's not totally disrupted, and Fox can run the numbers and justify their rate card. So, I try not to make it too political, or too personal, or this is a gender related issue. It's not. It's just we talk about business on this show, and I mean that's a straight business decision being made by people that have to look at the numbers. I mean. You don't make bad business decisions to appease someone's feelings, and that's those are just the facts. And guys like you and me will still watch it because it's our job and it's what we do, and we'll work around it. But that casual fan or that even that passionate fan may just may be recording that game and watching it a little bit later if it's the type of result that they like. If their club loses and they but it's I've always thought that the World Cup is such a great destination event. I mean, Australia, New Zealand. If I was European, Australia, New Zealand is the one I go to, as opposed to wait for it on TV. That's one. It's not that far. It's not not that difficult a flight. I mean, that's a crazy flight from here, but we got favorable TV times. So
talking more about the actual event, I mean, what we're seeing in Australia and New Zealand is Australia's sold 1.5 million tickets. New Zealand, they're struggling. They're really struggling. They're like 300,000 short. So it's really interesting to actually see. Even though New Zealand's moved the US women's team there, FIFA's made sure that a lot of the US women's teams games are played in New Zealand because of the time zone with the US. They're struggling to sell tickets. It's really mind-boggling, honestly. Like, I'm very, very shocked at the fact that they're struggling so much.
You need to get you on a plane and fly over there, my friend. I mean, it's just a little hop. Get a little Qantas hopper over there and go see if you can give them some advice and help them out. I mean, again, at the end of the day, I don't know that the American soccer fan is going to travel that 14, 15 hours to New Zealand.
More than that.
Obviously, the parents and the families of the players probably end up going, but Sam's Army, we've just gone through a World Cup. I mean, not a World Cup, but a Gold Cup and a Nations League. Two back-to-back tournaments with the men, and obviously lots of games been going on here, and you've got an Olympics right after this in France. There's probably people going, hey, I'm going to go to the Olympics versus going down to Australia. I mean, economies, dictate what your discretionary income. And I get, that's a big haul and a long time commitment to go over and play. So again, unless you got, business reasons or family reasons to be there, the women's team is obviously a global draw as well. Again, the ticket business is tough regardless. I mean, obviously, the men's game doesn't face a lot of these issues because of obviously the global popularity of the sport. But hopefully they get a lot of walk-ups. A lot of people, realize that, hey, I can get tickets to see the U.S. women play. You might see a lot more of the New Zealand fans say, hey, go check a game out. It's maybe it's going to be the last time you see some of those top players for the women, and also you're probably hopefully watching some history as they make the run to their third consecutive Women's World Cup.
We wish them all the best. Lionel Messi has finally arrived in Miami. The GOAT, as noted by many, has finally arrived into Miami. And what an arrival it was. Packed stadium, 3.5 billion views globally. Jerseys selling outside the stadium at $200 a pop, probably sold out left, right, and center. What a crazy event.
Well, look, we had the emergency show a few weeks back when all this broke, and on Sunday was the culmination. I mean, obviously Messi arrived into Miami, went shopping at Publix. No one knew who he was. Maybe a few soccer fans recognized him. So he shopped in anonymity for a bit, and then walked out to for his unveiling on Sunday. And as you mentioned, 3.5 billion views. What was it? It was more views combined than the Super Bowl, the NBA Finals, and the World Series, or something like that. I mean, it just goes to show you the global power of Messi and his brand, the global power of the game. And look, let's not discount the fact that the crescendo of this thing has been building and building and building, since the announcement I'm going to Miami, in early June. So, there's a lot of anticipation around this. And, Mother Nature didn't quite cooperate. We had a lot of heavy rain, but that certainly didn't dampen the spirits of the La Familia faithful down there in southern Florida. And they turned out to see, look, not only Messi, but I mean, they Sergio Busquets, was also unveiled as well. And so, look, that's a team that, made the playoffs last year, currently sitting in last place. Man, if there has ever been, a time where you needed the GOAT, it's now. And, he's teed up for his debut, I guess this coming Friday in the
Friday
against Cruz Azul. So, can't remember if they ended up moving it to Hard Rock Stadium or not, but they could certainly sell 70,000 tickets to that game. But look, it's an exciting time for the game. It's going to raise the level of MLS. Certainly the global exposure of it. And we're reading all of the special the games that Inter Miami's playing. Apple TV is now going to go from their normal 7 to 8 cameras to 18 cameras, so that they can cover every single angle, and there'll be one that will always be focused on Messi. I mean, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a massive, I won't call it Messi overload, but you're going to get a heavy dose of Lionel Messi. And for those that haven't, watched him on a regular basis, I mean, just understand that this is not a man whose skills have diminished. He just won the World Cup, was the best player at the World Cup. He just torched up, in his friendlies. I mean, he is absolutely going to not disappoint, the American soccer fan. And it will be interesting to see if he makes a little run, here with Inter Miami. And so it's an exciting time, for sure.
Who's going to make the Netflix style series?
Oh, I don't know. It's probably coming.
For sure, it has to come.
It's got to come. Something along those lines is coming. Maybe Apple has already, inked that deal. It's going to be, available on Apple TV. But look, it's a great boost for the club. Valuation of the club, took a nice jump. And, obviously there's going to be a nice commercial bump with him being, on the club for the next 2 years, as they head into their new stadium in the next 2 years.
I would 100% pay for Apple TV Plus to watch that series alone.
Yeah. Go from Ted Lasso to the GOAT, that's a nice
small jump, I reckon. Small jump.
Some fiction to reality, but like it will be it will be great theater, and I fully expect his first match to have some spectacular play. There will be some highlights that will draw you in. I can only hope that he does what Zlatan did in his first game, and literally just absolutely deliver the goal of the century in game one, and then just say you're welcome. But it should be fun.
Will he be able to ever shop at Publix again the way he did last week?
Well, I don't know that those 3.5 billion people were all, shopping in Publix in South Florida.
He's been introduced.
He's been introduced now. I think people are going to have photos of him on their phone now, so he might be a little bit more recognizable. But look, I'm excited. For the club. I'm excited because obviously we've got a relationship with the sponsor on the front of the shirt. We've been this was just a discussion as a possibility 3 years ago when that deal was signed, and then so it's just kind of neat to see all this kind of play itself out and come to fruition and deliver, as big as we had thought, for the brand, for the club, for the game. And so, just excited to see all of those things, work in a positive manner for Inter Miami and Messi. He seems, happy and comfortable, got a couple of his buds coming over with him. Kind of a side story. I was traveling back on Saturday, and they were in the same airport where I was in Charlotte because they were playing FC Charlotte. And I saw Federico Higuain, and I pulled Freddie over and I said, "You realize this is the last time you guys can actually walk around in an airport and not get mobbed, because once the goat arrives, you guys aren't going to be flying commercial and in and out of regular gates with the common folk. You're going to be going into the private hangar on a charter plane." So,
for sure. It has to be, and there'll be a lot of black suits around too. So
yeah, probably a few. Yeah, probably a few.
Sponsor name. Come on.
XBTO.
There you go.
Yeah, big day for them to be part of that. 3.5 billion viewers. Leading up to this, there's been lots of pirated jersey sales that still have XBTO. There, like you mentioned, they were selling the authentic jerseys there at the stadium on Sunday. Fanatics immediately dropped the Messi custom jersey on their site. I've been kind of following it, trying to buy a Messi jersey, customize a Messi jersey ever since they announced, and it won't let you. It's not available. And then obviously Sunday night, boom, drops 194 Messi jersey, number 10. You get it's all there. No, I haven't got one yet. I have one coming. But it's.
Do we have a number yet on sales?
I haven't seen a number yet. No, I haven't seen the number, but like we had run, our analysis early on in this process, just from a valuation standpoint for the client, and let's just say that our numbers, were somewhat. We were trying to be somewhat conservative, and still it was massive number, and yesterday and the viewership on this, just exceeded what anybody's expectations would be just for an announcement. I can only imagine what the numbers are going to look like on that first game on Friday night. But we estimated that Sunday's event generated about $3.5 million worth of exposure value for XBTO, given their position as the primary sponsor on that shirt when it was being held up and presented to all the players introduced that night. But in general, that once the GOAT held up that pink number 10, it was lights out. I mean, it was that photograph moment. I mean, look, when we announced it, Bex is holding it up, and that was a pretty big deal. And it just got usurped by Lionel Messi holding up that kit on Sunday, and so just for the brand, great exposure. It's a seminal moment, for the brand. I mean, that's a photo that's going to sit on the CEO's wall and make it, it's making its way around the internet right now, because you had the Beckham, the Moss brothers and Messi all right there together on stage. So, pretty iconic moment, and, one that will probably, continue to pop up on media and stuff moving forward, because it's a great photo, and it's the official beginning of his time with Inter Miami. And obviously we're all excited to see, where that journey goes over the next 2.5 years.
For sure. Staying in the MLS, this is some interesting news, actually. Well, when I first heard this, I wasn't shocked, but I was a bit surprised. The MLS is open to considering sovereign wealth fund investments. What a time to say that. When we know, like, with what Saudi Arabia is doing around the world, with what Qatar is doing, trying to buy Manchester United, with what they've done with the Monumental Group, the group that owns Qatar owns now a small percentage of that. I mean, what a crazy time! But this money that's going into sports is ridiculous. And then some more comments. Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, obviously, said they could contemplate the idea at some point. Now, why the two? Why am I mentioning the two? Because a lot of NFL owners own MLS teams. So there's a bit of relationship there, which makes things really, really interesting. What's your outlook on things?
Well, one of those rules in sports is, money talks. And they're seeing the valuations of these MLS clubs start to climb. Obviously, the last one in San Diego was a 500 million.
Egyptian billionaire.
Yeah, and what was once an up and coming acquisition to get an MLS club for 25 or 30 million is now last one that was sold without a stadium, that required a stadium build was 325 million. And now you've got a $500 million fee paid for San Diego. You're going to, hey, if you want to keep expanding, there's only a certain amount of guys that can pay that number. We've covered the PIF and the sovereign wealth funds here on numerous occasions, given the moves they made in sport. And so naturally, we can see them come here. The NBA has talked about it. Obviously, MLS is now discussing it. We've seen, the move that Ted Leonsis and Monumental made to bring in the Qatari fund. Timing wise, kind of interesting with Ronaldo's comments about how he opened the door to the Saudi League and top players are coming here, that the MLS is still a retirement league. So, hey, the Saudis, have always, not been afraid to elevate with their wallets. So if they come over here and, get involved in MLS, maybe we do see, more European players coming over here because obviously the dynamics around Messi are going to expand the eyeballs. I think that the infrastructure and the salary structure of the league may take a jump. And if that takes place, a Saudi or a sovereign wealth ownership group. I mean, we've talked with some other billionaire groups that are interested in the growth of U.S. Soccer in the U.S. It's going to take some ownership groups with deep pockets, to start meeting those demands at this level. Look, you're right. There's some natural cross promotion there with, Arthur Blank owning Atlanta, and you got David Tepper owning Charlotte. You've got Seattle, I think owned, having some ownership. Yeah, there's a few of them, but it's there will be some crossover. And look, I think Roger Goodell also leans that way. Not as much about U.S., but as they expand, and if they expand into Europe, then that's a natural play for sovereign wealth money to come in and get a franchise in London or get a franchise in Germany or Spain or somewhere else. Or hey, let's not rule out one in Riyadh or Dubai or Abu Dhabi, because it's only money. So it could happen.
My is Qatar, actually.
Yeah, well, the Qataris have been, obviously very aggressive, with their soccer acquisitions, on the global scale. So, it would just be a natural move. to get involved here, and maybe we see them start making some moves throughout North America. I mean, we are kind of hosting the World Cup. Yeah. Qatar Airways is all over was all over the Gold Cup. So Qatar was in was in CONCACAF. Go figure.
Yeah.
Talk about a buy-in. One hell of a buy-in.
Champions League 2022 World Cup. They're all over football. All right. Yeah. Let's keep going. Staying in football. Well, it's been a big football episode, actually. Football/soccer. Paramount Plus agrees to a 20 million euro per season shirt sponsorship with Inter Milan. So just some background story. For the Champions League final last year, there was a reported 10 million euro deal, like a one-stop branding opportunity with Paramount Plus as well, which is interesting with its own right. Within its own right. What's the play here? Is Paramount trying to move into the Italian market or the European market, or what is the play here?
Well, I mean, look, the streaming play is certainly something that's out there. My guess is this a kind of a preemptive opportunity for Paramount to find some more programming for their streaming channel. Do they want to do some creative, as we talked about with Inter Miami, what's the Apple TV series that's going to come out of it? Inter Milan is obviously got some U.S. Affiliated ownership to it. Obviously we've got some Americans that have made the move over to Serie A. So the guess is there's going to be some more American eyeballs on that league. But Paramount's got some good programming, and maybe they are looking to expand that streaming subscription base into Europe. And look, soccer is it. If you're gonna make your name over in Europe right now, I mean, it's get on a kit or get involved with a club. You've got sleeves or run a kit. Find a way to expose your brand to a global billions of eyeballs that are consuming the sport, and so that's kind of my thought there. But again, I haven't read anything that says, hey, Paramount's coming out with a new Hard Knocks series.
Not yet.
But heck, the writer strike is going on. You're going to need some programming, and there's nothing like some live content, from a club you sponsor.
For sure. Interesting to see how that deal plays out. It's a big one.
It's a big number, good number, and obviously they had what was it, Digibet, that was
something like that.
Yeah, they lost a crypto partner off the front of the kit, so Paramount's a safe brand, if you will, not going anywhere. So carries a little bit of cachet to it. So so got to clean it up and see where it goes. But I just think it's interesting that you're seeing streaming channels take that role. I mean, what will follow? So it should be interesting.
Let's keep an eye on that one. We'll keep going. Last one, the Suns and the Phoenix Mercury games are going to be broadcasted free to up to 3 million homes in the local Phoenix area, your hometown.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, in my opinion, a great move. Moves away from the paywall, get the brand back in front of people, as many people as possible, and why not? And attract more people to games and merchandise and TV and absolutely.
Well, that was certainly one of the the commitments that Matt Ishaba, when he took over as owner, is that he wanted to he wanted Suns fans to be able to watch the Suns, in the Mercury, at any time, so put it on regular TV. We've seen the Bally relationship disintegrate. They just disintegrated the deal with the Diamondbacks this week as well, and so leaving them with one sports team, and all of their holdings. So I think it's a great move, because now as a club, as an organization, they can attach their media directly to their partnerships. So, I mean, as opposed to selling sponsorships and having to only have a limited inventory, because now he's paying for it. He's paying for it. He's buying. It's the time he's selling the ad space, and now there'll be complete synergies across sponsor and broadcast. And as do you mentioned, I mean, look, this is a critical time for the Suns. They're coming off a finals run, and then a knocked out in the semifinals, and then another semifinal loss to the eventual champ. Kevin Durant's not getting any younger. Booker is in his prime. You've seen you've traded Chris Paul. You've got Bradley Beal. You've got you just traded away campaign. You signed Bol. You're trying to build an organization and a team that can make a run, because Denver is looking good. You've got the Warriors are retooling. You've got Sacramento as a team on the rise. You obviously got the Celtics and the Sixers, and in the East, and obviously Miami continues to they just keep showing up in finals. Sorry, they got a great organization. So when you've got the capability and the vision that Matt Ishbia has when he took over this club, it's a big win for the fans to be able to access those games, on regular TV, and I think while it will help the Suns, I think it really helps the Mercury brand. That you can get more exposure for the women's game,
for sure.
And that's a big commitment there as well. And I think you'll see maybe some better broadcast times, because they were kind of getting stuck on it early afternoons, and try to make it a great time where you can watch it, but also it's a good time for fans to get there as well.
Well, now it becomes his platform. I mean, he can, they can
do whatever he wants. Yeah,
exactly. So they can customize and move things and alter things to suit their fan base.
Yeah, brought to you by United Home Mortgage.
Exactly. All right. Sounds awesome. Big one today. Lots to share, lots to talk about, as usual. Always a blast. Before we wrap things up, you got any final words for us?
Well, I mean, obviously, big week for coming off All-Star break. We're getting ready for Lionel Messi to debut. We've got the rosters. We're a couple weeks away from NFL camp starting over here. We're seeing summer wind down for the most part. We're kind of getting into the final grind here. So, look, we just had the third youngest Wimbledon champion, yesterday, and Alvarez. So it's an exciting time. We're seeing young stars emerge in sport. We're seeing really aggressive business plays in the world of sport. We're seeing some transactional. We've got a women's World Cup that'll start. That'll hit the pitch this week. Look, it's a great business. It's a great time of year. We always kind of chuckle that we never get any days off, but why would you want days off when you've got great stuff like this? And hey, live sports is is going to be king for a while now that we've got a writer's strike in Hollywood. There's no new content coming out, so nothing like live sports to give you some entertainment, and for you and I, it gives us some great topics to talk about, in the world of sport, because we'll start seeing some some new deals get announced. We're hearing about some transactions that percolating out there around some venues, possible venue entitlement changes, some front of shirt deals that are working their way around. Our plate will be full, my friend, and the Messi train is here. Excited to really watch that, a generational talent on our soil playing the world's game is going to be exciting.
Absolutely. Sounds very exciting and very promising. Lots to talk about moving forward. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, Rob, as always. It's an absolute pleasure. Take care, everyone. Peace out.
All right, my friend.